lovelies. Esther here, yes, with some pink in my hair on a lovely early autumn day. It's warm but not hot, and the air has that kind of crisp fall feeling in it, but there's still light, so we haven't yet plunged into the darkness, although we did have a bunch of rain here in Oregon last week, so you know, the sludge into into the darkness has begun. I am a summer baby, I have to say. Anyway, I wanted to hop online, and it's been a little while since I've done a video because life has been super crazy, hectic, nutty, and October is going to be an even more hectic, nutty month. I've got a bunch of things starting with the Northwest Tarot Symposium week after next. Yeah, if you're going to be in Clackamas, Oregon, which is basically Portland, Oregon, by the way, it's just a little suburb. If you're going to be in Clackamas at the Monarch Hotel for the Northwest Tarot Symposium, come find me. Introduce yourself if we haven't met, and let's say hello. Really looking forward to this first since the very beginning of COVID. Oregon and most of the states closed like the week after Newts in 2020, which was like right at the beginning of March in 2020, and we were all kind of, oh, I think there's a pandemic happening. By the way, have you seen any hand sanitizer? I can't find any in the stores. And then the universe changed. So this is the first Newts since pandemic. First one being coordinated by Roger and Michelle Welch, and it's really blossomed. It's becoming a big symposium, so that's going to be exciting. And then the following week, I'm going to be October 16th through 21st. I'm going to be in Rhinebeck, New York, in beautiful upstate New York, at the incredible Omega Institute, doing my Buddhism and Tarot workshop with Robert Place, featuring his deck. He's going to talk about the history of tarot and alchemy and his wonderful Buddha tarot. I'm going to be talking about mindfulness in tarot, and together we're going to be really talking, experiencing, throwing down cards, really exploring this mandala of 78 cards as a path toward greater awakening and clarity. Super excited to be spending time with folks doing that, and to be hanging out with Robert Place for a week. Link below. And there's other stuff happening in October, including the second annual Drop 'em 78 Mindful Tarot Challenge, which is a 78-day romp through the cards, one card at a time each day. The invitation, I'll put a link for last year's intro video, and I'm just going to say a few words now. The invitation for Drop 'em 78 is to focus on a single deck for all 78 days, and to go through the deck one card at a time each day, posting on that card, allowing your day to inform your understanding of that card, allowing the 78 days in general. Opal! All right, my dog just went crazy, not sure why. I got interrupted by a raucous Opal dog barking at, I don't know, the goats across the street or something. The Drop 'em 78 Challenge, so the invitation is to really dive deep with a single deck, and to allow your day-by-day life to really help you unfold the meaning of the cards, this mandala of tarot, to really go deep with it. I call it the Drop 'em 78 Challenge because that acronym, Drop 'em, helps clarify. I'm in the middle of nature, but there's a very busy street out there. The acronym helps clarify the order that we move through the deck. So each of those letters, DROPM, stands for one of the 5 suits of tarot. So the D of Drop 'em stands for drop anchor, as in get grounded. We begin with the suit of earth, with the pentacles. Ace through king, that's where we start, October 15th, Ace of Pentacles. And then the R, right? Responding. The suit of wands, the suit of fire, the suit that is all about the way the world inspires us, impels us into action. The wands, that fiery suit, it's all about encounter and meeting and responding to the world. So D, drop anchor. R, respond with the wands, with fire. O, the O is for the suit of water, the cups, opening with the cups. That watery, intuitive, emotional, spiritual, relational world of Ace of Cups through King of Cups, right? The cups are teaching us about how we open to the flow. And then the P, pierce through with the suit of air, the suit of swords. That phallic, thrusting, pointy sword, right? You know, the suit of air, the suit of mind, of thought, of understanding. This is the suit that's all about how do we make sense, how do we clarify, how do we discern and forge and carve our way through the world. Pierce through with the swords. And then the M, quite simply for the majors. So after we finish Ace through King of Swords, we begin with the Fool, and we end on December 31st with the World. And then January 1st, 2023, the invitation is to do a Wheel of Life spread for the coming year with the deck that you've just spent 78 days with. So I'll have more videos about Drop 'em 78. I'm very excited. So that's going to be starting in the middle of October as well. And in preparation for that this month, I've been encouraging folks in the Mindful Tarot community, which, by the way, if you haven't yet joined the community, if you're at all interested, please drop me a line or go to our Facebook page and ask to be invited into the Facebook page, Mindful Tarot. My email address is below. The Mindful Tarot community is just an opportunity for us to come together and to explore together with some structured prompts and some structured teachings, all free, by the way, to explore together this tool of awakening, this tool of insight, this tool of discovery and growth that is the tarot. This month in the Mindful Tarot community, I've been inviting people to do what I call a deck dialogue. I call a deck dialogue. I'm making it sound like this really ponderous, fancy method. The deck dialogue, I call it a dialogue. This is what other people call a deck interview. I have a problem with that phrasing, a small problem, a tiny, tiny pet peeve with the phrasing of doing a deck interview. It sounds really unidirectional. Like, I'm going to interview these cards. I'm going to ask them the questions about what they're going to do for me. It doesn't have that relational feel that really corresponds to what I think the tarot can be. You know, the tarot, with its images, with its structures, and its layover of other systems like astrology or Kabbalah or numerology, the tarot offers a tool that allows us to connect this little self, this little ego, this, you know, in my case, quite little 5'3" little being with pink tipped hair, to connect that small self up with the big self. Self with a capital S. You know, we all have access because everything is interconnected. We're all interconnected. All life is intertwined in this dance of the cosmos. We all have access to everything. Every little piece of experience connects up with all pieces of experience, right? Everything is interconnected. That doesn't mean, however, that at every given moment, I consciously or even unconsciously have direct access to the whole shebang. But when we work with a tool like tarot, what we're doing is enhancing and strengthening our ability to connect up from the small self to the large self, our ability to open the eyes of intuition, to know more than we think we know, to actually know what we, in truth, do know. And so a deck dialogue, you know, is an opportunity for me in an open-ended way to encounter through the cards that which I actually do know, but don't know that I know, right? For me to connect my little self with my bigger self. The cards in a deck dialogue help me do that. And they help me do that in such a way that is specific to that specific deck. So I want to demonstrate the deck dialogue method with a brand new deck. And actually, it's a deck that I just arrived in my hot little hands today, and I owe it all to Pedro in the Mindful Tarot community. Pedro, it's your fault. He was brilliant tarot reader, wonderful person, wonderful member of the community. He was posting deck dialogue images from this mystical dream tarot, from Jeanette Pidolato's mystical dream tarot. This came out, I think, in 2019. She is doing the book. I mean, I just got this, so I haven't read the book yet. But my understanding, and from a quick perusal of the book, my understanding is that her goal with this deck is to use images accessed from her own dreams to connect up with the archetypes of tarot. So it's a very Waite Smith type deck. It's Waite Smith inspired deck, but the imagery, it's not a clone at all, because the imagery is her conscious connection with her own unconscious images through her dreams and the archetypes of tarot. So, you know, through her own dream work, her own work with her unconscious imagery, saying, for instance, well, what is the Ace of Cups? What is the energy of the Ace of Cups, as I understand it through the imagery of my dreams? So it's a very dreamy deck. Tom Duxbury's art is incredibly beautiful. It's I love the palette. His artwork, it's kind of got the feel of woodcut. It's a little bit reminiscent. It came out in 2019, but it reminds me of the Gentle Tarot of Mari in the Skies imagery a little bit. The palette is similar too in certain ways. But it has a kind of woodcutty feel, although it has it's more watercolor in its palette and its coloration. But as you see, it's like the imagery is drawn from imagery, Jeanette Pidolato's own imagery. But because these archetypes inhabit all of us by dint of our human nervous system, basically, and our shared epigenetic heritage, her images, chances are, will speak to my images. So it's not exactly an intuitive read in that there's structure and meaning here, and the guidebook is full of detailed reading of the cards, but it's a deck that is meant to educate us intuitively, to educate our intuition. The majors, many of the cards in the majors have been renamed. So the tower is the Divine Tower, House of God, the Divine Tower. The Emperor is the Dream Protector. I love that. There's a sense of the relationship to dreams. The pages are all dreamers of. The Dreamer of Cups. So this is a deck that is meant to use Janet Pidolato's own dream imagery to help us unlock the language of our unconscious, to again do this thing that I'm saying that the tarot does in general, which is to connect the little self, this little self, to the big self. It helps me know more consciously that which I know unconsciously. To know more that which I don't even know that I know. Now look at this Two of Pentacles. I originally resisted getting this deck when Pedro first posted his images, although I was completely in love with them, because I thought the cardstock probably sucked. The descriptions of the cardstock did not fill me with confidence and delight. However, it's okay. It's pretty flexible. It's highly laminated, but in a way that actually makes sense with, it's not too glossy. It's just, it just has a kind of laminated feel. It makes sense with the images. This, by the way, whoops. This is perhaps, it's certainly my favorite card so far in the deck, the Innocent, the Fool, but it's perhaps one of my favorite Fool cards ever. She says, dropping half the deck. Okay, so cardstock is, you know, it's okay. It's not great. it's already chipped on one of the cards, but it doesn't hold up well. I mean, it's already chipped, so I wouldn't say that it holds up well to riffle shuffling, but it allows me to shuffle in a riffling manner. All right, okay, it's tolerable. Okay, let's do a deck dialogue. So the idea with the deck dialogue is to be completely open-ended with a simple intention, as I start the dialogue, a simple intention of asking a deck what it wants to teach me. Okay? Now, I've been inviting folks to do this deck dialogue with different decks, if they have different decks that they're trying to select among, all month of September, because in October, come October 15th, we're all going to be committing. We're all going to be saying, going steady with a single deck if we're doing the Drop M78 challenge. So I've been trying to figure out, like, what deck am I going to use? All right. So Mystical Dream Tarot. What do you have to tell me? Okay. Three of Pentacles. So now I'm looking at this image, and I'm going to paraphrase back to the deck what I think it's telling me, as I'm going to take what I think is its response and turn that response into a question back to it, to move closer to a confirmation and a sense of communication with the deck. So as I said, Jan Pitalato, she's working with Waite-Smith imagery as the kind of prompt for her own dream images, recasting the language of Waite-Smith, recasting Pixie Coleman-Smith's language in terms of her own dream imagery. So, Three of Pentacles is so much about work and collaboration, right? Creating that masterwork, which is always going to be the work of more than one hand. I always feel like this is a card that is inviting me into community and into a community around creative, industrious, grounded work, into work. So are you saying to me what you have to tell me? Is it about how to be grounded and fertile and productive through connecting up with the mystical Godhead? I mean, feels to me like Mary, right? That heart of devotion, finding that in the work of my hands. Are you inviting me to be rooted in the work of devotion in order to flourish in my own endeavors? I'm struck here by, I've been doing roots and canopy spreads all the time, and here we have a literal tree. So for me, the root and canopy spread is always about, like, how do I need to be rooted in order for the gifts of this moment to spread out? And this seems to me so much about an image of devotion. Are you inviting me to gain access sort of to that mystical heart of devotion as part of the work that I do? So now I'm going to pick another card. That was my question. I'm trying to see whether I've understood the message. And I'm getting all these cards upside down. I'm not going to read with reversals right now. Another pentacle. Oh, and another tree. And this sense of movement upwards and the light from within the tree and the waters. So yeah, you're saying allow myself to be lifted up by by a vision that comes deep in my trunk, in my gut, for me this feels, I often think of my second chakra as a source of insight and energy. So yeah, it seems like you're saying yes. Yes, this is about releasing some kind of mystical ability to be brought higher up. And as I'm saying this, I'm realizing I'm standing by a tree and the branches are speaking. By the way, I don't know if you can see it, but behind that tree is my Buddha. So I'm right by my Buddha grove. So yeah, I mean, there's something here about, yes, being lifted up by devotion and into the mystery. Are you saying that I'm going to gain access then through my work with you to that mystical vision? Or is this something more about the work I need to do separate from tarot? Spirit of Cups. So in this deck, the spirit is the Knight. Something needs to gestate. This is also an image of something gestating and bursting forth. This is about reaching for inspiration. And I think what you're saying is that something's inside that needs to gestate and be released, be transformed, allowing that to gestate. So I think I need to pick one more card because I'm still not completely clear. This deck is obviously is a complex and challenging deck. Are you saying you're going to help me gain the language for this gestation? Yeah, Three of Cups. So we've got this, I mean, we've had Pentacles and Cups, so earth and water here, and we have this image of the cauldron, of what is brewing and how that is arising. So yes, I think you're saying that this deck can be this cauldron for these images to arise, but there's a kind of devotional energy, isn't there? You're saying there's a kind of devotional energy that might need to happen apart from these cards for them to do this work. These cards might help me gain access to that Godhead, but just there's a sense that some light is coming. I'm standing by the Buddha here. I'm thinking that you're also pointing to devotional work that I need to do, that these cards can give me the cauldron, but oh, I hate this card. I mean, this is a scarab that refers, I think, to the dream that Jung talks about in his essay on synchronicity, but I don't like this figure or these little figures. But there is the big self here that I have to be willing to approach. I have to be willing to do that work of approaching the big self. So this does seem to me it's pointing to a devotional practice that's probably separate from the cards. Okay, that, my friends, is a deck dialogue. Did that make any sense to anyone outside of my head? Maybe not. I'm taking away from this that this card will help me with the language of transformation and the things that need to be birthed, but that it's also saying, and you do need to do this thing that's a little bit scary, which is to encounter the divine, the large self, head on, which for me ties to my religious practice as a Zen Buddhist priest, basically. Okay, that was a lot, or maybe not anything at all. The deck dialogue, right? This practice right now, I mean, it's a way for us to have a dialogue with the deck and to see what the deck can offer us, what the deck is telling us right now in this moment about our work with it, and how it can unlock our own intuition right now here as a spiritual practice. And the deck dialogue has been for me very helpful for me to get a sense of what the deck is that I want to work with in the Drop 'em 78 challenge. I don't think it's this deck. This deck is powerful, but I think I may have picked my deck. I still have to, my decks actually, because I'm going to have a deck as my main deck and a clarifying deck. So more on that topic in later videos. I think I've picked my deck, but I won't reveal it until we get to the challenge. Okay, that's all I got for today. That was a bit of a ramble. Hope it was interesting. Hope to see some of you perhaps in Clackamas, Oregon. If you are interested in the Buddhism and Tarot workshop, there's still room available, and I'd love to hang out with you for 5 days in upstate New York in a few weeks. Details below. As always, thank you guys for your practice. Take care.